Okay, so eyes open just for a moment, just to take in your surroundings, present time, present space, this moment. Maybe looking around if that feels interesting, helpful. Just really taking in what is happening, right? Sometimes we have so much moving in the head, in the brain space. Just nice to see what's actually happening. And then closing the eyes. And again, just simple points of focus or orientation. Breath, just the awareness of the breath. Not needing to change it much, but just aware of where it is moving in the body, how it's moving. And then playing with very slowly, very gently, lengthening the exhale and lengthening the inhale. Good. And continue with that sense of inhale flowing into exhale, exhale flowing into inhale. Like the waves rolling in and the waves rolling out. And maybe just a little, I wouldn't say faster rhythm, but a nice rhythm that feels like it creates a little bit of movement. Drawing the breath in, moving the breath out, releasing, receiving, however you feel the breath. You can even try a couple of breaths with the mouth open on the inhale and exhale. It'll give sound to the breath. Just 2 more breaths like that. Right, that swelling and settling. Again, so it's a shorter breath, maybe a 2 count inhale, 2 count exhale. And then just settling, feeling how it's imprinted the breath. So maybe there's less effort, but that rhythm is still moving through your body. Again, the inhale, right? That filling up, nourishment in, and exhale, releasing what is no longer needed. And palms together in front of the heart. Good. And letting our breath become sound. And with that sound, sending or setting an intention within your own body or out to wherever it is needed, right? Always nourishing enough so that there is more to offer. And if there's depletion, just nourishing, receiving, allowing, inhaling. Oh. Good. Hands on thighs. Okay, just noticing the way the legs are crossed. And I'm just going to drop my chin to my chest. Right, so there's that curl of the head forward, that length in the back of the neck, letting the head be heavy. And then I'm going to allow the whole spine to move forward, right? Round forward, but I'm starting from the head, letting the shoulders follow. And even in a sense, letting the front body almost spread back into the back body, letting the back body spread as it lengthens, as it curls. Going as down as far as is comfortable. Right, so you're feeling that upper back, middle back, maybe even lower back if you get that far. Good. Hands can come to the floor. And then I'm just going to slowly curl back up. Right, so I'm just very slowly going to shift the weight back towards the pelvis, letting the lower spine roll up onto the pelvis and unfurling vertebra by vertebra, segment by segment, slowly lengthening, lifting, aligning, right? Just stacking the vertebra. And last is the head. Good. I'm just going to change the cross legs. Actually, I'm going to bring the feet together, knees apart, so we have a bigger base. I'm going to do it again, chin to chest. Again, even with the throat, just that sense of allowing the back of the neck to lengthen and the front of the throat to soften back. So as I start to round further forward, as the shoulders widen across the back, the breastbone draws back and broadens. So the widening of the front body allows that exposure, widening, rolling of the back body. And again, noticing how far you can come down, depending probably on the hips. And then just gently, you can even use your hands to roll your weight back. And really slow. The breath might not be very deep because we're folding over the lungs. Minimizing the movement of the diaphragm, but just feeling the breath. Slow, slow, slow. Coming up. Okay, this time I'm going to take my blocks. You can have, let's actually take the blanket. Taking my blanket and opening it up so it's pretty long. And then I'm going to roll it, just a loose roll, so that I can wrap it around my outer hips and supporting the outer thighs. So I have a little support under the back of the pelvis and outer thighs. Blocks. Again, the feet can be far enough forward so the shape feels easy on the spine, easy on the body. The blocks for the head. And you may need one block, you may need two. You can stack the blocks. You can even put blocks between the feet and stack the blocks, whatever feels right for your body. So starting vertical, aware of back body, front body. And again, just curling chin to chest, starting there super slow. And rounding shoulders forward. Again, feeling how the whole spine starts to fall into that C shape from the tailbone to the top of the head. And then wherever you get to comfortably that you can support your head, forehead, or upper forehead, letting your head rest. Softening your jaw. Tongue, mouth, face. Again, maybe even just a couple breaths through the mouth, just to feel that the difference in the mouth, the throat, the tongue, the cheeks, the eyes. Right, when there's a little less pull at the hinge of the jaw. Right, even allowing the lips and the tissue of the face to really surrender to gravity. Just a couple more breaths here. Just settling in, sinking in, softening in. Good. And then bringing your hands wherever you can easily just press down. Put some weight into the hands and let the hands and the arms roll the spine. All right, shifting back to the pelvis and unfurling the spine. Pelvis supporting the spine. Spine supporting the head. Breath supporting the whole torso. Okay, so I'm just going to turn my head to the right. So I'm looking towards the right knee. Can even have one hand outside, one hand inside the right leg. And I'm just going to, again, tipping chin to chest, rounding. Again, that same sense of the front body widening. Little harder in the rotation to feel that width in the front body, but just playing with it. Feeling the width in the back body. Again, hands on either side of the leg just to support the rotation. Right? You don't really need to push into it as much as just supporting what you can find. One more breath here, just easy breath. And then again, use the hands to just shift the weight back. And slowly feel the left sitting bone get heavier, the spine shift back over the pelvis, and slowly unfurl. Right, the weight of the body, creating little lines of pull or stretch or tension as you roll up and then come back to center. Good. Turning your head to the left, looking towards your left leg, hands on either side of the thigh. Again, chin to chest, to the left breast. Rounding. Again, noticing, can you curl the spine segment by segment? Noticing when a bigger piece moves as a unit. Again, no right or wrong, just noticing what's happening. Softening and settling in and back. Softening shoulders and hands. Good, last breath. And then slowly, slowly, again with the hands, just shift your weight back. Right sitting bone gets heavy again. Spine slowly and gently, quietly. Rolling back up. And head back to center. Okay. Blocks to the side. One more, maybe a little more movement. So curling forward. This time I'm going to let the hands just quietly slide forward, walk forward. So instead of a deep C curve, right, start in that deep C curve. And if that's where you need to stay, that might be fine. Or maybe just let the arms slide forward enough to let the crown of the head draw forward. And I'm just going to slide the hands over to the right. Letting the head just kind of lean to the right. And then slowly, slowly back towards center. Really slow. Like you're moving. Through water. You're being suspended, held. And slowly making your way left. Slow, slow, slow back towards center. Good. Just a little nodding of the head, just letting the head turn right, the face turn right. And slowly center. Really slow, fluid.
slow motion. Maybe it's thicker than water. Or heavy salt content water. Back to center, and just one little yes, right? Drawing the chin towards the floor and then letting it move towards the chest and towards the floor and towards the chest, and then walk the hands back in. Again, letting the hands create the focus. The spine is almost receiving the movement, the prompting from the hands to unfurl. And find your way back to vertical. Okay, so legs forward. We'll do one like this. Again, sitting on the blanket if you need to even sit higher. Just so if you feel the tailbone, right, if the hamstrings are really tight and you feel the sitting bones being pulled forward, you can even just lift the knees or change the blanket so it's under the knees, or I'm just tucking under, so I'm supporting the hammies a little. Chin to chest again. Again, that widening and hollowing of the front body to allow the back body to round. Again, with each leg position, noticing the different access to the spine. Good. So starting with the crown of the head moving towards the pubic bone, just to help get into the widening in the lower back. And then if it feels right, maybe staying here. If it feels right, just crawl the hands forward a little, letting the crown of the head draw a little more forward. And if it feels better to just let the head drop and stay in a more of a C curve. Just one more breath. And then walk the hands back. And slowly, slowly, hands help shift weight back to the pelvis and rolling the spine up. One vertebra at a time. All the way up. Okay, so shifting shape. Just going to come onto hands and knees. And sitting on my heels for a moment. And I'm just going to take my blanket now and come back to this shape. Fold that in half again. Slide my blocks over, so 2 blocks. I'm just going to put them on the lowest height, end to end. My knees are slightly separated, my toes are together, and my blanket is on top. And I'm just going to hips heavy. You need something behind the backs of the knees or under the sitting bones, between sitting bones and heels, please take that. And then maybe you might need a little extra height on top of your blocks. Play with it. Play with what feels right. And then supporting, I'm going to support my whole rib cage. So all the way down to the lower front ribs. Head turned to one side. Arms bent, forearms resting on the floor. Good. And just watching the body's response to holding the position. Right, the backs of the knees, the front of the ankles, the toes, the front of the hip, the lower back, just noticing. Again, letting your breath almost deepen. Right, we are chest down, right? So it's a little different breathing than having your chest up. So maybe even breathing into the block or breathing into the upper back, middle back, lower back, back of neck. Kind of soften the face and allow the face to meet, be supported by the edge of the blanket on the blocks. And then as you slow down, just noticing your thoughts, not necessarily the content, or maybe just checking in on the content, like where did your mind move to? But also the volume, the speed, the rhythm. And I'm going to slowly turn head to the other side. We tend to have a favorite side. Just noticing if you went to your favorite side first. And again, noticing your physical response, the mind, the quality of your breath. Again, not so much needing to change it, just notice how it's responding to the shape. Notice what you can soften. Just even drawing your attention to softening. Good. Last couple breaths here, softening hands, legs, hips, and all the tissue base of pelvis between sitting bones, tailbone, pubic bone, belly. Softening, but also noticing if the patterns or the movement from the breath becomes more helpful or integrated. And you're able to find a deeper inhale or a breath that can fill into belly and pelvic bowl. Or maybe even the access to just that little sense of drawing the perineum up into the body. Noticing the back of the neck and the shoulder blades, the hands. And then gently, gently, hands back under shoulders. Letting the hands guide the spine up. Head is more passive. Shifting the weight back and curling the spine up or unfurling, unrolling. Nice and slow. And noticing what you notice. Okay, so let's come on to our backs. Just putting the blocks in the blanket off to the side for a moment and laying down. And just taking arms out to the side for a moment with the arms straight. Let's take the feet wide, knees together. Just feeling the floor behind you. Good, maybe just another breath or two with the palms down. And palms back up. Maybe the arms can bend, right? Finding a place for the forearms, the elbows, the shoulders. Good. And then I'm going to let the knees lift. Feet are still wide, and that's slow, right? Knee drop, slow knee drop to the right. I'm slowing it down again so that the weight of the bones just adds a little compression onto the tissue. And I'm going to let my head roll in the opposite direction, just so I'm not holding throat, jaw, face. And slowly coming back to center. Left hip starts to get heavy to help roll. I see end up rolling across the right buttocks. Edge of sacrum, right side of sacrum, center of sacrum. Other side, head rolling with that same, matching the speed. And then knees start to drop left. Head rolls right. Even here, feeling the movement of the head going slow enough to let those neck muscles get quiet. That little compression on the back of the skull. Muscles of the scalp. And slowly roll back to center, even just that pressure on the skull bones. Again, rolling back across the left hip as that right hip gets heavy. Good. One more time, right. Head falling away from the knees.
Again, slow enough, like you are the honey that's softening in the warmth of the sun. Coming fluid, viscous, yummy, warm. And slowly other side. And I'm just moving a tiny bit faster, but I feel still quite fluid and viscous. There's that softening, melting, and slowly, even as I roll back to center. Even as I feel the body waking up, moving. Good. So finding center, just going to bring my knees all the way together and draw my knees towards my chest. Right. So arms can stay where they are. So I'm just on a drawing the knees in. And now I'm going to do same thing, but I'm going to let the knees come to the floor. If you want to put the blanket on the floor, or one of the blocks on the floor to minimize the rotation, you can. But again, I'm going to let my pelvis and my legs turn right and my head turn left. Slow, slow, slow. As I lay those legs down to the right. And that right hand can just hold the left knee, right? So the body's able to just sink into the support of the floor a little bit more. Right? Finding a comfortable rotation for the head. Letting the breath lengthen to help that. It's a pretty big twist. So letting all that needs to adapt, adapt. Right, the tissue around the spine, the tissue around and between the ribs, the tissue inside the ribs, right, the lung, all these fascial containers, right, the fascial containers of the heart, the pericardium, and the lungs, the pleural sacs, the diaphragm, all these dense, fibrous connective tissue structures. Allowing the breath to create a little ease, a little movement. Throat soft, face soft. And then I'm just going to bring left knee towards the face and up to center. Right leg follows way behind. Nice and slow. Other side. Again, maybe head leads by rolling away from the knees. Maybe. Doesn't have to go far. The chest can stay soft and broad as the pelvis turns left, knees to the floor, left hand on that right knee. Whatever support that you need, take it.
Again, letting the breath deepen, right? Just to help balance that weight of the right arm to the floor, the weight of the legs to the left side, turning, squishing, squeezing all the structures inside. Right? Not just the rib cage, lungs, and heart, but the digestive organs. And the kidneys, uterus, and ovaries. Along with the stomach and small intestine, large intestine. Again, ease in the jaw, hinge of the jaw, throat, side neck, under the jaw. The brow, the eyes, the cheeks, the tongue. And slowly, slowly, just going to draw the right knee towards the face and back up to the ceiling. Left leg's going to lag behind a little as the pelvis rolls. And then the left leg catches up slowly. Good. Maybe even just hands to shins. Letting the hands hold the knees, letting the knees fall away. So arms straight and just letting the knees rest in the support of the hands. Maybe opening the knees just a little. Allow the inner thighs to soften. Right? Not so wide that you engage the outer thighs very much. Just wide enough to feel the pelvis get heavy and the thighs sink down into the pelvis. The shoulder blades sink back into the floor. And I'm just going to let one foot come to the floor, let the other foot come to the floor. Pause. And maybe a blanket either under your thighs or over you, right? If you, right, sometimes when we kind of drop down, we get cool, which is normal, right? Because our body is reserving energy, it's not heating us up. So covering the body for the next few minutes would also be a nice thing. If you have an extra blanket, one can go under thighs, one over you. Good. And then letting your, right, so I'm actually just going to bring my feet parallel just for a moment, even turn the toes towards each other, maybe touch the big toes towards each other, and let all the flesh on the back of the pelvis soften away from the center. And then as I release the legs, and they will start to roll out, and that's fine. Just giving that tissue a little kind of head start at staying wide.
That if you need to hold your sticky mat and lift your ribs and slide them away from your feet, any adjustments, any other adjustments, just to create ease and space. And even here, just taking a couple breaths with the mouth open through the inhale and exhale. It's very diffuse breath. A wideness in the mouth and back of throat. A slackness in the hinge of the jaw. And letting that space continue through cheeks, bridge of nose, eyes, upper skull. The space around the brain. Right between brain and skull. And space between all the parts in the skull, the bones, the brain, the eyes, nose, tongue. Notice where else would like to soften. And again, sinking back into the support of the floor under you. Right, allowing for that support to hold you. And feeling any other support around and within you, whether it's your breath, whether it's just a sense of light welling up or growing deep within you, expanding out. Or maybe it's a sense of support coming around you. The light, the sun, the birds, the trees. And then very gently and slowly wiggling fingers and toes, again, as if you're moving, as if you're a body of, or a body of water. And aware of your feet, the skin of your feet, the skin of your legs, the temperature of the room, the movement underneath the skin as you move, bend, fold. Same with hands and arms. Right, listening, all of the sensory tissue, right? All the sensory, the nerve cells in your skin and that relationship to your environment, to your movement. Gently roll to your side when you're ready. And draw yourself up to sit. Pour yourself up. And finding your seat. So maybe even eyes closed for a moment so you feel that quality that you just found. And probably the hardest part, which is why the relaxation can be some of the most challenging parts of class. Then how do we bring it into the rest of the day? How do we fold that ease, that ability to sit back, to sit in ourselves, to be present and move out in the world, in relationship, in communication, in conflict? That's why we keep practicing. Notice your breath. Notice the quality of your mind, the content, the speed, the volume. Notice sensation in your body. Tingly, cool, hot. Notice any feelings. And again, let's give the exhale sound, right? The sound of Om with the exhale. Om. Namaste.